Hello, I'm Witch Nikki, and my granddaughter, I don't know how this happens to her sleeves, but let me see if I could find one that I didn't pin yet. She's always getting these little rips and tears in here. She says some of the kids at school, I don't know how this happens, but so before I mended it, I asked her if she wanted it mended or not. And I still had some thread left over from when I was stitching Tabitha the other day. And so I've already started on here, but I like using, because I save thread, and I got thread on another needle over here. I'm always saving the ends of the thread when they're long enough. The good rule of thumb is if you can still sew with it, anything. I could pretty much measure maybe from the top of my finger to the bottom of my hand. If you don't have something else to measure with, that's plenty to do any kind of mending. So, sorry about that. I've already threaded the needle, but I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So what I've done, because this is the other sleeve, and I've turned it inside out. That's the best way to do with it. And then I've pinned along here to keep the two parts together, and I've kind of matched up all along the torn part. I'm going to wait till I get to this part here, because there's another one right here. I'll show you. I have one of these old-fashioned things. So here's the sleeve, and it's torn away from where it goes around, kind of like a sock, going all the way around in a circle. But it's also torn from the sleeve part. So what you do is turn it inside out like that, so that they're facing each other. The how would you call that? Well, you have it inside out. Now you're going to be careful how you don't poke yourself. So it's in, the inside's in, and the outside of the t-shirt is in, and so the inside is out. And so then I've just matched these all up. I wish I had thought of this sooner, but I just got started on it. There's a little bit of frayed thread right here, so I'm just going to take out my little scissors. I had to put this rubber band on the tips to keep them together. That's a little hack. These are old-fashioned types of things we used to do. I just want to get it out of my way. Stitching up things. Nowadays it seems like, oh, it's got a rip or a tear and it just goes in the back of your closet or in a giveaway bag. And not too many people know about stitching things up like this. Now, if I had a sewing machine, I would just run the sewing machine from here all along here. It's close to the top where the two ends meet. I wish I could show you an example. So say this is the ripped part of the sleeve and this is the arm of the sleeve, okay? So what I've done is just put them together. So when I've stitched it, it's going to stay closed. See that? And then this will be the cuff or the wrist part, and this will be the arm part right here. So I'm just going to continue. Let's see. Try to hold it up because I'm wearing black and this is black and everything's all, that's fine. So what I like to do is I like to start at one point. Be very careful you don't poke your finger. See that? And I'm kind of doing it up where I don't know if you could see. Right along here is where it, in the factory, it was stitched. So I'm trying to follow right along with that. And I'm just going to poke it through. And there's a lot of ways to do this, but if you're new at doing this, you poke one way and pull it, and then you come back on the, you started on the top with the pins, now you're coming up in the same, near the same area, the same line, really close to where it has been machine stitched in the factory. Okay, then you're just bringing this up, see, from the underside up. So they're stitching up and down. Ooh, I just poked myself. Or what I like to do, because it saves a little bit of time, and if you're afraid of this part because you might prick your fingers, you could, I don't have thimbles because I don't need them. They just kind of get in the way. But you could put a Band-Aid around your finger or a piece of tape. That will kind of, but what I like to do is just be very careful. Okay, and what I'm going to be doing is poking it down. Let me see. And then instead of going all the way out, what I'm going to do, I'm going to push back on it so it's just a little bit of it poking out right here. When you get used to the needle and how tight to use it, how forceful to push it through, when you get used to that, things go a lot easier. And then what I'm going to do is bring it really close back to this side, and I'm going to, let me show you on this. Okay, this is just some sponge. I don't know. I saved it from something. It must have been packaging from something or whatever. So what I'm doing is, but a lot smaller. Now I'm poking it through. Did you see it come through? And instead of going all the way out and all the way back and forth, what I'm doing is I'm placing this right back down here, pulling back just a little bit because we don't want the stitch to be too big. You want to kind of gauge it, how the needle is. That will make it either bigger or smaller. Now, then you push through. Did you see it come out right there? And then we're going to, see how I'm just holding it? I haven't let up on the needle. I'm just going to kind of go like this, back and forth. This stuff isn't too good. And you just try to do it so that pretty much it's all kind of even. This isn't because I don't really have enough room to do it. I wish I had something else to work with that you could see it, because this is also black. But anyways, that's the idea, is that you're going in and out, in and out, in and out, but not all the way. So, I think some people might have the idea. I'm going to be continuing this until I finish this thread. You see it? There we go. So, I need to bring this light over here a little bit more. Okay, there we go. I can see it anyways. That's the important thing. So I'm just going to be going out a little bit, not too much. I want to kind of feel with my finger. I'm just being very, very careful. Now, see, I'm poking it like this, and then come back just a little bit because you don't want the stitch to be too long. And then you go like this, and then you bring it back. So you're kind of folding the material back on itself. And I'll show you when I'm done, all the way to the end. I'm not going to go. You know what? If you make the stitch too big, that's okay. I'm going to show you what to do. All right. I think I have enough here that I could at least show you. On this kind of needle, I could do it all the way, but I want to just show you. See how the needle's going in and out of the cloth, the material in and out? So then you just pull it. That way you can kind of see that how straight it's going. But do you also see that the stitches might be a little bit wide and different size between each other? Now you don't want to pull it too tight, but you want to pull it tight enough that it's there. Okay. So I'm just going to continue doing that because I've already gone on to 12 minutes. But this is for people who might not know how to stitch up their clothing. I wish I could be places that people need me, that I could just pop into your flat, your house, your apartment, or wherever you are, and teach you how to do this. So I'm doing a video. So you just kind of go back and forth onto the needle and push it back. See how this is one end, this is the longer end of the needle going back to the thread. And I have the thread all the way through so both ends meet, and I've tied a knot there so that it won't slip through. And that doubles the thread going through, makes it stronger instead of just one long piece. So I'm just going to go back and forth because I can go back again since these stitches are just a little bit bigger than what was made by the machine. So you see how it's all kind of gathered onto this needle? See that? I'm showing you in all the directions here. So then we just kind of scoot the needle and the material off until the thread comes through. Don't pull it too tight. You don't want it really gathered too much. Okay. Now if I had used white, you'd be able to see the thread and how it's going through there. I think I've just about made it to there. And I have enough to go back to really give it a good stitch on both directions. So what I'm going to do is just go back this way. we're going to be coming back to this area. Just working with one ripped area at a time. So now I'm going back in and out. So it's going like this. It's kind of like swimming through the sleeve, swimming through the material. So it just goes down a little bit, up, down, up. Try to keep it as straight as possible, but just do your best. As long as you've sewn the two pieces together or mended the hole, we're actually sewing the two pieces back together again, because there really wasn't a hole. It's just the sleeve tore away from the rest of the material in the arm. So I should be showing you, but it's kind of hard for me to see at the same time. So that's what the needle is doing, up and down through here, and just kind of pushing it back up along here. See that? This makes it go, it will go very fast. I could have finished this already if I wasn't explaining how to do it. But I'm not, I don't think that people are dumb. They just haven't learned how to do different kind of stitching. And so I'm trying to be very helpful and patient. And this is how I do it. This is how I do my patience. Things very patiently. So now that I've gotten to the end, we need to kind of tie this off, but I've gotten very close here. So, I know what we can do. I do this because for some reason these little scissors have decided to act a little bit like not even. I don't know what's going on with them. So what I'm going to do with this now is cut it up very close to the thread, to the needle. The thread I'm going to cut. There we go. Now, I don't want this getting lost because this is a big needle and I really like working with it. So now we have this end, and it's much easier now to tie it into a knot, and here's how you do it. You can split it. Oop, come here. You split the two threads because now it will split. And what you just do is tie a knot, like you're gonna lace up shoes, but you're just gonna tie a knot. Just really like a couple of good times, that's okay. There we go. There's a little dip right here in the tray that I'm working on top of. So, see, I don't want this poking somebody, so I just put it together like this, and with this elastic band, giving it a good couple of twists around it. There you go. Keeps them together like that. It's a little bit better. Okay, so now I could take these pins out, stick them in my pin cushion. Do you know that the pin cushion has this like sand in it? Gritty sand. Oops, I took out the wrong one. Well, that's okay. I'm going to work with that anyways. It has it actually, I think, in this part too. See if you can hear it. It's like sand, and when you stick it in here, it keeps the needles sharper. Something I learned as a little girl. So I'm just going to take them out, poke them in to the pin cushion. I used the ones with the yellow little beads at the top so I could see them better on the black sleeve. See that? Okay, so now this is the inside, and we take it, turn it inside out. There it is. It's all stitched up. The stitched part that you did is on the inside. See that? Okay, so now part 2 of this is actually okay, so here's part of the sleeve that's ripped away from this part here, is ripped away from here. So I'm going to do the same thing, and then let's see, I want to try to bring, so I'm going to see how the middle of the, where the sleeve was joined at the factory, there's like a seam in it. And if I bring this up to show you, it's going to be kind of wonky. So here's where it was stitched up, and we want to meet those two together. And then there's still a little bit left over here that's going to leave a little hole, but I'm going to fix that on there too. So I'm closing it all up. I'm bringing these two ripped parts because they were ripped right like say right here. So now I've got to take out some more of these pins. Now that I've gotten it matched up, I'm just going to very carefully pin them together. Now, if I had a sewing machine, which I do, but it's down in the storage in the garage area of this house. So there's going to be a little hole left here, but not really. I'm going to continue this, stitching it all the way across there by hand. Granddaughter's home from school. Sounds like she's drying her hair. This summer she's going to be 14. So she's learned how to fix her hair all by herself now that she's made it short. Okay, so see, I've gone all the way past the part where we stitched a little bit to here, and I want to stitch the needle all the way past, because there's that little hole that we want to stitch to, and then there's going to be another one. In fact, well, I'll deal with that one when I get to it. So on this other needle now, there's just a little bit of thread. I use these longer needles because I could see the eye of the needle a little bit better to put my thread through here. Now, I'm going to run into the same problem with the needle not quite as long as I really need it to be. But I'll go as long as I can with this, and then I'll re-thread this needle. So I'm just going to make a knot here. And what I did was wrapped it around my finger and then just kind of rolled it off of it, and you could see that little teeny knot. Let me do it again. So it's hard to show you because I'm trying to get it as close to the end as possible. So I just roll it around till it's here. Then I roll it off my finger like that. And as you're pushing down, you're rolling it, which is going to make it, as you pull it, into a knot. Now you could probably see it a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to start at the end where the sleeve is, like at this part, the top, I guess the top part. And I'm going to do that same stitch, just work the needle back and forth in, or start on my side. First, I'm just going to go straight in because I want it to catch at that corner part right there. That was Ruby jump up. My dog. Our dog. All right, since I got it past this pin, now I could go just in and out or back and forth a little bit. So that way too you could see that it's going straight. See how it's in here, and then you just lay it down. You can pull it back to where you almost don't see it again. When you really get used to working with this, it takes practice. It really does. I've been stitching and sewing up stuff like socks and sweater holes and all kinds of things ever since I was a child. It was one of my chores to do, mending. And we used to have like a mending basket, and anything that needed to be mended would be put into the basket, and then it was one of my chores to take something out and mend it. Because back in those days, that's what we did. And you just take your time. If you take your time, you won't get hurt, poked your fingers. Believe me, I've poked my fingers enough time to just take my time. Be patient, and it will get done. So you make sure that you are doing your mending at a time when you don't have to hurry. Let's say you found a hole in something and, oh dear, it's time to get ready for work or school. You're going to have to hurry. So I think you should find something else to wear until you can get this job done without hurrying. Because definitely, if you hurry, you're going to hurt yourself. And what's more important, you just have to take that effort too. All right, now I do have about enough to go back the same way. There's still going to be a little hole there to mend. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to do that too. Everybody has a different way to do things. I might do it different than other people. So I'm just going to go back, in and out. I'm just going to move this back and forth, like the material back and forth onto the needle, little by little. All right. This gets a little bit tricky, but you can do it. Well, it's a little bit better with the longer needle, so you could see. You see the ins and outs of the needle? That way you could see. What I'm going to do next is, it's kind of hard to get a grip on this. There you go. Just pull and wiggle until it comes through. There we go. Now, we're going to do the same thing with the thread that we did before. I should just leave it off for right now until I put it away. Okay. Yep. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. That was my granddaughter. She don't like being on the camera, so I had to turn it off. She just wanted to say hello and see how it was going. Because I took pictures of her sleeves and I said, do you want these mended or do you want them like this? And so she did want it mended. Okay, let me show you that there's still a little hole here. And that one, we still want it to be folded together. And I'm going to get another needle and thread. But we've already gone into 32 minutes. I hope that you've learned a little bit about mending. Let me see how much I have to do on the other one. The other one's not too bad. It just has a hole. The other, it's the one that I was working on. The this place right here where you see the sleeve. There's this part here where it had been stitched in the factory, and that had come apart also on this other sleeve. So now what I have to do is everything has been stitched up here on this side and the little bit here, but now, oh, and right along here. So right now there's this part. And what I'm gonna do for that, I'm just taking both edges, the cuffed part, the ripped off part, and I'm going to put them side by side, just like I showed you before. Then I'm going to take it up close to where we left off at that one stitching. I should have just continued through, but that's okay. You could do it any way you want to, it's just as long as it gets done. So you just be very careful with the needles and the pins and all of that business. So let's see now. Okay, so it's going to get all the way here. And when I get to there, I'll come back to you because this is pretty much the same as what we were doing from before. Sorry. I forgot to show you how to thread the needle if you want to know how to do that. If not, if this has not been helpful, that's okay. You don't have to give a thumbs down or a rude comment. Just go on your day. But there'll be some people out there who will look at this and appreciate how to learn how to thread a needle and how to make stitches. All right, so this needle is it's a little bit bigger than some of the other ones. I'm not even going to go into all of that. So sometimes you might want to just dampen it a little bit so that it goes through the needle a little bit better, because the teeny tiny edges, you'd think I'd be able to get this on the first go. Nope, because it's such a bigger needle. I almost want to use the other bigger needle. But that needle is so big, so long. Sometimes there's little things, little tricks that you can do. You have to just be very patient and keep trying until you've gotten it. Okay. What I like to do is stick this end with the needle into the pin cushion just a little bit until I get these ends straightened out and tie a knot in them. Actually, my granddaughter should learn how to do this, shouldn't she? Well, as long as I'm around, something for me to do. So I twist them together, twist them and twist them. Both of the ends are together. And I just kind of twist them and then wrap it around my finger, roll, and then pull it off my finger. And I pull them together to where it's formed a little knot. Then, the thread so long. I don't know if you could see it. So long. And the thing about using it really long like this, well, sometimes it gets into knots. So we're going to continue right along here where it's already been stitched from before. And I'm just going to, I like to go back before where the stitching from the factory has been, and then just go right along with it. So that kind of gives it a little extra, you know, so I don't miss exactly where that is, where it, you know. Oh, little gnat from my plants. The little gnats kind of telling me when I've been watering a little bit too much. Because they always seem to come around when they've had a little bit too much water. So here's where these two ends meet. And I'm just going to keep going like I was doing before, in and out. Then scooch them off onto the thread. Very carefully pull the thread out so you don't get knots. And then you see it's kind of bunched, so you just kind of open it up again so it's not too tight. You don't want to make it too tight. So we could do it again. Yeah, I just hope you aren't getting tired. If there's still anybody still watching this, thank you very much. I've been told that my videos are very peaceful. And some of my videos help people go to sleep. So, yeah, from this side now, I'm going into the same direction that we came, but I'm just doing the same thing with the needles, in and out. And it's okay if you go to the area where it's been stitched at the factory. You can go right along with it there for a little bit, because I'm going to go back again and meet to where there's that little teeny hole that's going to be left there. So, see, now that I've stitched that, I'm going to turn it back around. So, I'm like this, and you don't want to go back. You could go back and forth. You can go from here. I don't want to confuse you, because we're already just going smooth back and forth. That gives a little bit more protection there. It's like, what if one of the strands breaks? You still have two more, because we're going back here again. It goes so easy. Once you get the hang of it, you just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you get back there to that little end. Where there's still going to be a little hole there. What I'm going to do, very carefully, pulling the thread, even though you can't really see it, maybe a little bit. If you're watching this on TV, I'm sure you can. Well, as everything else, pores of my old skin and all my wrinkles. Okay, so now it's all stitched up except for this one little place right here. So now that there's areas that are all stitched together, what I'm going to do, try not to get tangled up. Now that I've done this side, down here, there's just this part where where they all meet together, and that part's got to be stitched up too. So what I'm going to do is the same thing, but I don't really need those pins holding it into place. I'm going to hold it into place with my fingers and be very careful. And I'm just going to stitch right across there. Pull the thread all the way out. Okay, and then I'm going to come down to here where this one seam, it's kind of like right across this area here. So I'm going to come out. So I don't know if you can see where I'm going here with this. Here's this one little, oops, where'd the needle go? Okay, this part here is like this, okay, and we've stitched here to the middle where it all meets, and then I'm on this side now, so I'm going back across, going over here, and then I'm putting the needle back down. I'm going to have it come up right here. Actually, you know, I think that's good. I think I got it to make sure. So I'm going to go back one more time. Sorry, this is probably the longest video on just how to stitch a little bit by hand this whole shirt. Well, not the whole shirt, just this little hole in this leaf part. And I'm going to do the other one, but I won't videotape that one. And I want people to be bored. So what I'm going to do is just go back like this, and I'm going to kind of go through, but now I'm coming down. Here I am at this part of the sleeve. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the main part of the sleeve and just kind of make a stitch. It's kind of like a crisscross right there where the hole met right there. Okay, now I can end this by taking this thread, this here, it's just getting smaller and smaller because I'm pulling it up. Then to make a knot, I'm going to go back through the loop right here and pull it down. It's going to cause a knot, and also make a stitch because I'm going to go back on this side, push it up towards me to where this piece of thread, this long piece that's into the sleeve, is going to be around it when I bring it back up. So it kind of makes it a hole, right? Not a hole, a knot. Okay. And I think before I cut, I'm going to check it out to make sure that it's all sewn together. And can't really tell, but there's a little part right here that I want to go back over a couple of times, because let me show you with colored pencil. Right here on the inside, on the outside I mean, there's a hole right here. You see where this pencil's going right in? So we can't have that, can we? Then she'll be coming back to me with it and saying, what happened here? So what I'm going to do is from the inside of the sleeve, I'm going to poke this needle through, getting close to that whole area, and then I'm going to turn it right side out, but I'm going to kind of hold my fingers there so that I don't stitch up the sleeve so that she can't get her hand out at all. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go along here where some of this didn't get stitched together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stitch it up from right there. Sometimes I do poke myself, but I'm so used to it Doesn't bother me anymore. So when you have the hole, you have to go under the hole. Let's see how I'm doing this. I'm on this side of the hole now. So I'm going to go back over, cross over the hole, and kind of put the needle in right here. And then bring it to the other side of the hole. So it's going underneath the hole. And you pull it till the hole closes up, see? So you've gone down and up, pull it, make a stitch there, and then I can still see a little bit more of some holes going up through here that I want. They kind of escaped. They escaped my first attempt to tie everything, to sew everything all together. And I'm just going right along the surface here. Because this is kind of doubled over. But I'm just going to go to where they're nobody's going to see this. I mean, unless they get really close to her and... Oh, it looks like somebody stitched your sleeve. She told me she didn't know how it got tore. She says she thinks the other clothes in the laundry decided to attack her clothes and get them sewn up. I mean, tore up. I don't know. Sometimes she doesn't like to tell me that she's having any kind of issues at school with kids that are misbehaving. I don't want to say bullying her, they're just fooling around. She had been going through some issues with some of the kids, but hopefully that's all gotten taken care of. If not, her grandmother's a witch, and karma will happen to those who to do wrong to anyone that I love and care about. That includes all of my friends and followers. It just happens. It's nothing I have to do. My protection goes out far and wide to all of my friends. Okay. I could go all the way to this edge of the sleeve. Just because it will be a good place to end right there. And I could sew a good little knot and then hide it into the double thickness of the shirt, because it's kind of like a little cuff or whatever you want to call it. It's so thick it's hard to get it through there a little bit, but with your patience, you must be patient. Okay, I'm pretty much to the end here. Now, coming around to the inside part of the sleeve, what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke this needle through where there's two pieces of material, sewn together. And then, see, what I'm going to do is there's this loop right here. I'm going to come back through the loop and pull it, and it makes a knot that way. I'm going to do it again. You just kind of go to this side. So when you pull this needle, see this end down here is getting smaller and smaller. And I just pull that to become a knot. Okay. So I can take my little clipper scissors, clip it. Okay. Now, so we've stitched from here to here where the middle is, and a little bit over here. We took care of the hole in the middle, and then the little teeny tiny holes that were up through there. So I'm going to pull that out to show you how it looks on the outside. See? See that? It's all done. Okay. So now I'll be doing the next sleeve on my own. And all that it is, it's kind of, whew, it's a little bit more wonky than the other one is. So I'm going to have to start all over again with turning it inside out. And you see what I'm going to have to do is, let me put my hand in here so you can see it a little bit. See how it's torn from here, down here a little bit, up here a little bit, and over to here. So what I'm going to do is go from here, and then I'm going to go from here to here, here to here, pull these together, and then do from top to bottom, you know, from here to here. So it'll be stitched, stitched, and then bring them together. So like they're all like, whoosh. So I'll see you next time. I'm sorry, this has almost been an hour. Well, it's okay if you stopped watching. And if people are still watching, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just thought somebody would like to know how to stitch sleeves of your shirt or anything else. I could always show something else if I find something else to stitch up. So keep with your mending. A stitch in time saves 9.